Are you about to head to Epic Universe? I was there this past weekend and I'm ready to share all of my tips and tricks with you, so stay tuned. Hi, I'm Jill with Travels by Jill, a travel agent for 15 years with Family Fun Travels. Universal Destinations invited us to go to Epic Universe this past weekend, and I'm here to share all of my tips and tricks with you so that you can plan the perfect vacation for your family. I would be happy to be your travel advisor and make sure that you get our personal concierge service from the get-go, even while you're in the parks. So stay tuned for all of my tips and tricks, and make sure you reach out to travelsbyjill.com if you'd like to book. Epic Universe has been in the works for about 5 years. It was first announced in August of 2019, and this is Universal's 4th park in Orlando. You have Universal Studios, Universal Islands of Adventure, Universal's Volcano Bay, which is their water park, and now you have Epic Universe. The park doesn't actually open to the general public until May 22nd. But over the past couple of weeks, they've been inviting influencers, cast members, people who work there, annual pass holders, and also travel agents to come and be part of the technical rehearsals for the parks. This means that during these few weeks before the park officially opens, there will be some times when the rides are down, or when they're having some issues with things. We're sort of like the guinea pigs, but I was happy to go so that I could learn all the information and bring it back to my clients to help their experience when they go. So unlike other theme parks with a central hub, Epic Universe has a celestial inspired center called Celestial Park. And here is where you'll have the carousel and another ride, but it's sort of like your base with spokes on a wheel going out from there. And there are 4 portals that separate from this celestial hub. These 4 portals are fully immersive. They are a world unto their own. You'll have the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, which would be the Ministry of Magic on the streets of Paris. You have Dark Universe, which will be your Villain's Land, finally a Villain's Land. You'll have How to Train Your Dragon's Isle of Berk, and then you'll also have Super Nintendo World Mario Brothers. If you stay on property, you will have free bus transportation from all of the on-site hotels, including the hotels that are back at Universal's other properties close to the City Walk. You also get in an hour early to the park by staying on property, so it's a huge bonus for you to be an on-property guest, which I was. I stayed at Aventura Hotel, and that's a wonderful hotel. I'll do a hotel review on that as well. But there are definitely some perks to staying on property, which to me make it completely worth staying on property. We started our day at 9 a.m., which is when we loaded our first bus to Epic Universe. The early entry park opening for the day that we were in Epic was 10 a.m. With everyone else, the people not staying on property were able to get into the parks at 11 a.m. And I'll explain more about that in just a minute. But we loaded our first bus, our bus at 9 a.m. from Aventura Hotel. And we were at Celestial Park at the front gates to Epic Universe at about 9:25. By about 9:33, we had left the bus station and were waiting in the queue to get into the park. They did open up security and open up the parks earlier than 10 a.m. And so by 9:40 a.m., we were able to walk through the turnstiles. Actually, there's not turnstile, but you still call them that. We were able to walk through, scan our ticket, and we were in the parks by 9:40. Now, here's the interesting thing. When you first go through the Celestial Park portal, that's kind of hard to say, you can choose to go right towards Stardust Racers, or you can go left towards Super Nintendo World. Now, at this point, everyone who has a ticket for the day, whether you're an on-site guest or not, is able to get this far into the parks. It's where you start branching off into the different portals. That's where they will hold up the people who don't have a key card, a room key. And I have video of that. But there's a long line over to the left, and that's for people who are not staying. So as you get closer to the different portals from Celestial Park, everybody's allowed into Celestial Park. They want you to shop, they want you to explore, they want you to spend your money on restaurants, food and drinks, and everything like that. But you cannot go into the portals unless you are staying on site. You'll have to show your key card, which is on you at all times. And if you don't have that key card, if you're not staying on property, you're put into a queue where you will stand there and wait until the 11 o'clock opening or whatever time the park will be opening to the general public that day, while those that are staying on property have an hour head start on the front end of you. And so it really benefits, especially with a park like Epic, where it's going to be so popular for so long. It benefits you to stay on property and get that 1 hour early entry. Let's back up a little bit and talk about Celestial Park. That is that first entryway that you get into. Like I said, there are shops, there are quick service restaurants, places to get souvenirs, places to get drinks. There is a carousel. Let me tell you, the carousel has some issues in that it's very slow loading on the front end and the back end. The carousel itself is maybe a minute, the ride, and it's sweet, but I can definitely see how this would back up as the park gets busier, closer to the actual opening to the general public. When we went, there wasn't a line, but it still took way too long for the employee to load everybody. There was one employee. There were 4 or 5 just standing back there, maybe training, I don't know. But there was one employee having to go around and make sure everybody was buckled in. And then that same employee is the one that turned on the carousel. And then that same employee was the one that came and made sure everybody got off. And so that was not a good use of efficiency when it came to loading and unloading of that carousel. I hope they get that figured out. Stardust Racers is the big roller coaster in Celestial Park. It is a dual roller coaster, super fun. A lot of people compare it to Velocicoaster over at Islands of Adventure, and it can reach speeds up to 62 miles an hour. And this entire area really transforms at night. They have some lighting effects that make it look like a space light night sky. Just really beautiful. So we went to Super Nintendo World first. It was just breathtaking to go up that escalator and just be all of a sudden immersed into this world that we grew up with as Gen Xers. and the music, the sounds, the sights, it's just stunning. Everything is beautiful. We took lots of pictures, we took lots of videos. We did get on Bowser's Mario Kart Challenge. Now that is an augmented kind of reality. You use the visors. There's a helmet that you put on when you're in the line queue, and then once you get into the ride itself, the visors magnetize to the helmet that you're already wearing, and you kind of have your own virtual reality game through the visor that you're looking at. It took me a while to even get a little bit of a hang of it. Granted, I was also trying to take pictures because I was just in awe of the beauty of it. But you don't shoot you shoot at something that you're actually looking at. So if you're not looking at something, even if you think you're shooting straight ahead, you're not. I think I'm going to have to try that ride a few times for me to really be able to understand it. It was a little above my pay grade, but I'm sure that most of the techies out there absolutely love it. I had no idea what was going on for most of it. And there's also Toadstool Cafe. We did not get to do this. I've heard mixed reviews on that. Some of the best photo spots there's the Bowser statue inside the castle. There are POW blocks, which we got some photos at. There's Princess Peach meet and greet at times. And Toad has a meet and greet. There are power-up bands that you can purchase for $45, and they do different games around the parks. To me, I don't know, it would be difficult for me to want to buy a $45 power-up band that can really only be used in Super Nintendo World at Epic Universe for all of my 5 children. So, but I'm sure that those people that are just really in love with Super Nintendo World would really love it. I'm sure it was fun. There are certain aspects to that world that you can only do if you have the power-up band. So make sure you know that. We left from there and we went to Donkey Kong Land, which is still a part of Super Nintendo World. That was a lot of fun. We did not ride the ride there. We were just kind of walking around. We wanted to make sure that we experienced the waffle cone ice cream that they have. It's a pineapple Fanta, sort of like a Dole Whip at that other park on the other side of Orlando. It was really good. The waffle cone was fantastic. It came with this fun cup souvenir. Even the spoon was super fun. And on this waffle cone Dole Whip kind of a thing, they also put caramel popcorn. And it works. It really was good. We left from there and went to eat at Pizza Moon. And this restaurant is just beautiful in the theming. I've seen lots of it on social media. The pizza itself lived up to the hype. It was phenomenal. And there were all kinds of different pizzas, pastas, salads, desserts. I would say eat there on the earlier end of lunch or on an off time, because we got there probably around 11:30. We got the last seat inside, and by the time we left, there was a huge line waiting outside just for an empty table. So this is a very popular quick service restaurant. All the restaurants in Epic currently are quick service, which means that you order from your app, from your Universal app. So you'll need to have a credit card attached to the app. However, what they allow you to do is go on inside and sit down where it's cool. And then you order from the app while you're sitting there resting. I really enjoyed this. I'm very glad. There have been times in the past where you have to order and then you're able to sit down. And there's nothing worse than trying to order on an app when you're hangry and hot and in the sun and standing. So this is nice. Go inside, order what you want, and they bring it to your table. So I really enjoyed that, and the food was really, really good. And there is a gluten-free pizza because our friends got it. We left from there and went to Isle of Berk, How to Train Your Dragon, and this was my favorite. This was the one I was most excited about. I am a huge fan of the How to Train Your Dragon movies. I love the disability aspect of those movies, with Hiccup and Toothless both having physical disabilities, and so I just love how they bring that aspect of our society, that segment of our society, into play in those movies. So they're just beautiful movies anyway. And Isle of Berk was incredible. You're immediately transported into Viking territory. I really love how immersive it is. The characters from the movies are just walking around, just talking to you. You can go stand in line to meet Hiccup and Astrid and Toothless. That line is very long. It was at least an hour to an hour and a half. And so we did not wait in the line, but we still got to see them and take video of them because, hey, I mean, they were there. The characters do walk around and interact with the guests. And so it's just really neat. I did not get my PB&J mac and cheese cone that I really wanted because that line was also an hour long. So I know that some of these aspects of this park are becoming TikTok famous or YouTube famous. And so there's a long line to get to some of these things. But from what I understand, they're worth it. I was also really hot. This was at the dead heat of the day. So let me talk about two things here. I'm going to talk about the heat of this park and also the disability aspect, since I've kind of been touching on that. So Epic Universe is brand new. Most of the line queues are under shade. Only a couple of them are actually indoors, but most of the line queues are under the shade. But when you're not in a line queue, it is hot. Even when you're in a line queue, it is hot. I went at the end of April. I cannot imagine August, September, June, July, and the humidity that comes with those summer and early fall months in Orlando. I live in Mississippi. I'm used to the heat and humidity, and this was still really, really hot for me at the end of April. So be aware, make sure, I even bought a bucket hat from Isle of Burke. I probably looked like a doof bag, but that's okay because it helped cool my head. Make sure that you're staying hydrated. Bring some electrolytes with you. Take lots of breaks. Get out of the sun. My fear is that as the parks get more full and they get hotter, it could lead to some heat exhaustion, some heat strokes. So just make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Now, as for the disabilities, almost every single ride that we went on had numerous stairs in the ride queue. While you're waiting in line for the ride, there are lots of stairs. Now, I know that they're going to have elevators for wheelchairs. Those elevators are going to back up because there's going to be a lot of people who can't ambulate through these long lines and also can't ambulate over these stairs. One important thing to note also is that your scooters, your motorized scooters, are not allowed in the line queues. You have to transfer to a wheelchair and leave your scooter out of the line queue and bring the wheelchair into the line. And one particular woman that we assisted with pushing her wheelchair after our Ministry of Magic ride, she said she wasn't told when she rented the scooter at the front of the park. She was alone. She was by herself. She wasn't told that she was going to have to then transfer into a wheelchair in order to go into the lines for the rides. And so please make note of that it's not, there could be some difficulty with those who are physically challenged through these line queues. Okay, and once we left the Isle of Burke, we headed towards Dark Universe. Now, between a lot of these lands, we're constantly trying to get that elusive drop for the Ministry of Magic virtual queue. That deserves its own video in and of itself, and I know there are a lot on YouTube, but it was hard. And I've gotten virtual queues for many, many, many rides over at those other parks, okay? So I've been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, could not get a virtual queue for the Ministry of Magic ride. Thankfully, two of our friends who were also there in the parks with us, they were able to snag one at the very last drop at 6 p.m. So we were able to ride that day. We tagged along with them. Thanks, Jennifer and Brad. And It was that ride was epic. But I don't understand the trick in how to get that virtual queue. It's luck. I do hope that they will fix that. I hope that they will make it a little bit more convenient, less difficult, but they're not dropping all at the exact times. They're randomly dropping. And then like so the drops, when I was there, they were supposed to have drops for 11, 3, and 6 p.m., which meant that on the app under the virtual queue at 11 a.m., the virtual queue line would open up and you can refresh. Ideally, you can click virtual queue. It'll give you an option for different times. You pick the time that you want. Voila, you get a scan code. That means that you got a virtual queue. Every time I went to go pick a time, it would say already full, new time came up, picked it, already full, new time came up, and I picked it, it was already full. And so I'm not exactly sure how, and I would just keep changing, like 1 person, 2 person, 3 person, 4 person, 5 person, because I actually heard that parties of 5 are getting it and it's harder for parties of 1 and 2 to get it. I don't know if that's true or not because I tried it all and I couldn't get it. Neither could my counterpart, LaDonna. We did keep trying. We tried at 11, we tried at 3, we tried at 6. We were not successful. Thankfully, Brad and Jennifer were. But then a lot of times it would the virtual queue would not even open up until like 3:05 or something like that. So not sure what Universal has going on with those virtual queues, but they are very elusive. If you get to ride the Ministry of Magic ride, do it because it's amazing. But don't let it be a make or break for your day because it is very hard to get. So now on to Dark Universe. This world is smaller than the other worlds. I really, really love the line. We ate at Das Steakhouse. That food is phenomenal. Our friends Brad and Jennifer had a steak. Who gets a steak at a theme park? They did, and they said it was incredible. Okay, we got the bird on a stick, and it was chicken on a steak, like, get it, steak. And it had root vegetables and mashed potatoes. And then we got a side of steak fries. It was just incredible food. Just what we needed after a long, hot day. LaDonna and I would share everything. It was amazing. The food was incredible. We were able to ride Monsters Unchained, the Frankenstein experiment, and that ride, wow. I don't want to have any spoilers, but wow, ride it. It was really good. We did not ride The Curse of the Werewolf because I have motion sickness issues. I believe I was even down when we were there. I wasn't going to get sick because of that, but Monsters Unchained was great. We then headed over to the Ministry of Magic, where we immediately went to sit down and eat. I got my frozen butterbeer, lavender lemonade. Oh my goodness. I had 2 of these throughout the day. It is so refreshing. Lemonade can really be sweet and tart, right? I don't know what it is about the lavender, but it just it made it even better. It was so refreshing. Please try the lavender lemonade. That was wonderful. Frozen butterbeer, of course, a fan favorite from all of the Universal parks. Absolutely loved it. And then we got the amazing butterbeer crepe. It's not too sweet. You're going to love it. Definitely try it, but also know that on the menu, it's in French. I don't know how to pronounce what butterbeer is in French, but it's something with a B, and I don't want to butcher their language. Just know that it's not going to say butterbeer crepe. It's going to say something else, and you're welcome to ask one of the employees that are walking by which one the butterbeer crepe is to make sure that you order. And again, this was order on the app. You're seated by an employee, and then you order on the app and then they bring it to you. So it was a really good break time to have, and the food was phenomenal. There were a lot of shops, there were a lot of bars, there were a lot of street performers, amazing people to walk around and talk to that make you feel like you're in the movies, in the Fantastic Beasts movies. If you haven't seen those movies, please watch them. That's what Paris, this time of Paris is tailored after. I really enjoyed it. It's beautiful. There just wasn't a lot to do. There's a circus there. It was constantly full because if you're in the Ministry of Magic and you can't ride the Ministry of Magic ride, which very few people could do, then you're going to go to the circus because there's really not a lot of else to do. They do have different wines that you can get. It is fun. It just lacks a lot of things to do, in my opinion. It's not as much fun personally as Diagon Alley and Hogsmeade over at the other two parks. But it's still beautiful and definitely something to visit. When we did get to go into the Ministry of Magic line, wow, it is another level. The ride itself, oh my goodness. Again, no spoilers. Even just the line queue is wow. And yes, you can go through the line queue even if you don't have a virtual pass to ride the ride. So just ask them. They will let you know how to do that. We saw lots of people that were able to do that so that you can experience all of the beauty that is that ride. They did it well. But I will say that we had an 8:05 p.m. virtual queue, and we probably stayed in line for I'm pretty sure it was an hour and 15 minutes that we were in line. So don't think that just because you have a virtual queue that you're going to be able to go right on. That's not the case. You will then be standing in line, which is fine because you get to fully appreciate the beautiful line. But at the end of a long day, you know, it's hard to stand in. That was the longest line we stayed in. Granted, again, we were there before the official opening when it was invite only. And so we really didn't have to stay in many lines. But all that to say is you will still encounter a line even though you have a virtual queue, but it's worth it. And then when we left, the park was closing at 9 p.m. So by the time we got out of our Ministry of Magic ride, the park was closed. So we were able to see a pretty nearly empty park with all its beautiful lights on. That's just some of the best times to just wander around. And they're not really big on pushing you out really quickly. So we were able to just kind of enjoy the cool breeze because remember, it was super hot earlier in the day. No crowds because most of the people had left, and the beautiful lights. Helios Hotel just opened last week. That hotel is literally connected to Epic Universe. It has its own security and its own entrance into Epic Universe. And so we actually left Epic Universe and went to Helios Hotel because LaDonna and I wanted to see the hotel. Now, here's my thoughts on the Helios Hotel. Helios Hotel has a very high price point. I don't know that I would pay that price point for a hotel as busy as Helios is. It's connected to the theme park. And so where are people going to want to go when the theme park closes? Oh, let's go to the hotel and try to go to a restaurant here or a bar here or try to get an Uber from here. That's a really busy. It was incredibly busy when we left, and it was about close to 10 o'clock. And so personally, I would rather go over to one of the premier resorts at Universal, which is Hard Rock, Loews Royal Pacific, and Loews Portofino. those 3 hotels, based on the contract that was made with Lowe's as they were building these hotels, those 3 hotels allow for unlimited express passes to the guests who are staying at those hotels for the other 2 parks, not for Epic. So if you go and you stay at one of those 3 resorts, you automatically get a free unlimited express pass. And those 3 resorts, you can walk to Islands of Adventure or Universal Studios. They also have their own entry. It's just not connected to the hotel. You'll either have a boat entry or you'll have a side entry over there. That is where I would prefer to stay, because Helios might have the same exact price point, but you're not going to get a free Ultimate Express pass to Epic or to the other 2 resort theme parks either. The only benefit, I guess, to staying at Helios is the convenience of being right there at Epic Universe. So, but again, it's crowded and it's expensive. But those other 3 hotels, Portofino, Royal Pacific, and Hard Rock, they're within walking distance of the other 2 parks. They have the free Ultimate Express pass and they're not crowded. They're so calm and beautiful and nice, and their pools are amazing. I've stayed at all of them. I've also stayed at Sapphire. I've stayed at probably 7 or 8 different Universal hotels. And so I can help you pick the right hotel for you. And I can also explain the ticketing structure. I can explain the theme park touring plan that I've come up with. I've been to Universal at least 10 times with my family and on my own. And so my benefit to you as your travel advisor is, 1, it's free to use me. 2, I definitely have all the tips and tricks. And 3, as discounts come out, Universal releases discounts all the time. Guess who's going to be the one checking to make sure my clients get the best deal on their packages, even if you're already booked? Me. Guess who's not going to call you if you book directly with Universal or, let's say, Costco Travel? Goodness, please, y'all. Costco sells travel. They don't service travel. If you have a problem, you're not going to get any help if you book through some of these online booking sites. And if Universal comes out with a discount, Universal is not going to call you and say, hey, Sally, guess what? We came out with a discount. I see you're booked with us. Would you like us to apply it? No, they won't. You're going to have to be responsible for checking the discounts and then calling Universal, staying on hold, and then asking them to apply it if there are still discounts available by the time you get through. Travel agents most of the times have a little bit of a heads up about when a discount is going to be released. And so we have a list of all of our clients who are booked. We make sure that we modify your reservation if the discount applies to you, and we save you money, usually while you're sleeping. And so there's really no reason to not use a travel agent. I would love to help you plan your Universal vacation. And you can go to travelsbyjill.com and fill out a questionnaire, or email me at jill@familyfuntravels.com. I would love to help you. But if you don't mind liking and subscribing to this video, I would really appreciate it, as I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel and branch off into this new world of YouTube. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have an epic day.